Well, I was going to wait a little bit before putting this out, but I do need to record, and I felt like the day of the update was a fine time to do it. Obviously, this is coming out on Saturday, but I'm recording this Thursday night. Hello, and welcome to the tier list for the patch for R.1.4.01. It's the second patch of the season, technically supposed to be season 3 off season. I think they called it season 4 off season or something. It's supposed to be season 3 off season. This one's a weird one. There's some people that didn't enjoy the previous one, and yeah, you get used to that when you make these as much as I have. But we're going to talk about some of the changes. Now, with the new update, the two big things is Apoc no longer is capped, which is very sad, and Spy got a pretty big buff. So you can see Spy has jumped. But let's just talk about all the changes in this and what I would like to see going forward. And eventually, there's no Mystic here. Mystic's not been feeling the best. And so eventually we'll have a second person on here to talk. Remember, when I make these tier lists, this is not from this is like average person knows how to run the game, knows how to play the game, plop them in, how well they're going to do with each role. And so we're going to go S down to F. Actually, let's go F down to S. Let's do it backwards. So, worst 7 roles in the game. Admirer, Amnesiac, Dreamweaver, Plaguebearer, Baker, Shroud, Executioner. 6 of the 7 are nothing new for these tier lists. You know, Admirer, a liability, slow, have to rely on other people, not great. Amnesiac, though, Amnesiac by itself, and remember, I'm not thinking of it like what you could potentially be. You could potentially be Marshall, but as an Amnesiac, you're the worst role town-wise, and that's okay. Dreamweaver has been and is, in my opinion, the worst role in the game. Only besides maybe Baker, but Baker's even now lower because Baker now no longer has defense. And that's why Plaguebearer has dropped, is Plaguebearer has lost their defense. And I don't know how many times I've now seen Coven kill Plaguebearer to start. Or Plaguebearer, you know, dies to a deputy. And so I think Plaguebearer securely falls in F tier right now. Shroud just needs more power. And then Executioner, we're slowly seeing Executioner try, but Executioner just still, as a role, as an average player, you're not going to easily get Executioner wins right now. I'm just not, even with the new update. Now moving into D tier, D tier has increased. So we got Chown roles of Bodyguard, Trapper, Tavern Keeper, Coroner, Retributionist, Sheriff. Those I think all make sense. The only one that I think you could really argue, some people would argue Retributionist, but with now the Necro priority, the randomized of using bodies, yeah, I just don't feel like Retributionist is as good. Illusionist, I'm dropping down there. I don't think it's because Illusionist is a D tier. I think it's just that the average player will not use Illusionist well enough to be considered C tier. But I think a good Illusionist can be B or C. Again, this isn't, you know, your best players. This is what is the, you know, average player going to do. Wildling's sitting there. Yeah, Wildling's still sitting there because you're still fake claiming TI. You're not doing anything to buff Wildling besides making it against lookouts, right? Serial Killer is there. The NKs in general, and you notice all the NKs are sitting D and F tier, and they just don't have enough firepower to deal with everything going on. You're still going to see NK win, and in fact, I brought Arsonist out of F tier because I think the slower that the game goes, Arsonist is more likely to win a slower game than even other roles. Now, with the Apoc cap going away, I feel like Arsonist will probably drop again, but for now, I've not seen that affect Arsonist that badly yet. Werewolf's also still there, same problem as Serial Killer, maybe even worse than Arsonist in terms of just getting quickly lynched. Doomsayer sitting in D tier, again, you just need time, but there's a lot more people willing to spit out their roles right now. That's what I think keeps Doomsayer out of F tier. And then I'm going to put Pirate in D tier. The rework, I'm still not a fan of Inquisitor, but I think Pirate is being more successful, especially when they have TI or open claim people spitting stuff out. Now, if you look C tier is the biggest it's ever been. And you see some roles in there that are like, uh-oh, wasn't Mare and Monarch in A tier at one point? Yeah. Mare, there's sometimes where Mare gets left alone. And Mare is more difficult to get out now just because there's so many killing options. And then Monarch is turning more into a fake claim than a real working Monarch. And so I think that drops some down. Investigator is pretty set high C, maybe even low B. Murder and trespassing is a very strong, commitment into something. Similar to Seer. I don't think just enough people are used to it yet, so that's why it's sitting there. But I think the average person, you get a murder or a trespassing out, that information is going to be useful. Trickster's still there. The Trickster rework from last season has definitely kept Trickster in a really good position. Cleric and Oracle's there. I don't think Oracle's going to change much from C tier because it is very fake claimable, and so you claiming that is pretty suspicious. Veteran and Vigilante sitting in C tier. Spy is now up to C tier, and the permanent bugs make Spy so much better to play. You can check multiple things, keep things going, and it makes Spy as a target actually for Coven to kill now, which is not something that you could say before. Necromancer dropping now down to C tier. Getting rid of the Ghoul has really hurt Necromancer play, and more people are wary of Necromancer, just how it is. You're not seeing a lot of people switching to Necromancer from Coven Leader stuff. Jinx is sitting there, which is pretty solid. Enchanter's sitting there. You're not seeing as much good Enchanter play currently. I think that will change the later on Season 4 roles. Berserker has been dropped just because it's now a higher value target because the other epochs don't have defense. And then Soul Collector I've bumped up to C tier. The permanent Reaps and the permanent Frames get Soul Collector pretty good as long as they can, as long as they got a fake claim going that isn't like too suspicious. I find that Soul Collectors could be put in a pretty good position. Now, if you look at B tier, Tracker's there, Crusader's there, Ritualist, Medusa, Hexmaster, Jester continuing to fall because of the lack of options now. And then A tier is where you will find Lookout and Deputy now. Deputy is much less impactful in the game. I would even argue you might be talking about Deputy being B tier. And half of me wants to put Deputy in B tier right now, but I'm going to keep Deputy in A tier. I think if you know someone's suspicious or there's a claim for it and you use Deputy, I think that's really useful. But the days of just random shoot, hope for the best are over, and that's what they were trying to do with Deputy. A big surprise is Socialite is becoming more and more powerful, and I think that's going to be the first nerf they should chuck out for town, looking and going before Season 4, is I think Socialite needs to be toned down a little bit. It's a town protective, that's a town support, that is a town investigative. I think toning down Socialite is not a bad idea. And then Psychic's sitting there just fine. Voodoo Master's there. Voodoo Master plays went down slightly, but I think that's still, the average player could use Voodoo Master really well. Witch and Poisoner are there. And then your S tiers are no surprise. Marshal, Prosecutor, Seer, Jailer, Conjure, Potion Master, Coven Leader. I'm still under the idea that for the average player, Conjure is going to be the best Coven role that you can play, and Marshal is still going to be the best town role that you can play. So that is all for this tier list. I'm sure when the next update rolls around, probably before the New Year's after Christmas, or maybe around Christmas, we'll change some things up. But that's all for me. I hope you enjoy, and we will catch you again probably for another update before you see another tier list.